If this is your first time visiting, a special welcome to you. We got a special feature today. We are doing a driving tour of Negril, Jamaica, particularly focusing on the West End. And this is a bit of a long video. It's about 40 minutes. And depending on where you're watching it, it will be in different parts or one long video. My name is Winthrop Wellington, by the way, and here on my channel, we really discuss all things Jamaica, but today, as I mentioned, we're going to be doing a bit of tour of Negril, and we're just going to flow with it. We're just going to flow with it and see where this takes us. So we are starting this tour off on Norman Manley Boulevard, otherwise known as the Beach Road at Travelers Beach Resort, which is my family's hotel. And of course, we gotta wait for the traffic, but of course there on the left side of your screen, that is our NEAT Resource Center, or the Negril Education Environment Trust Resource Center. NEAT is my family's nonprofit organization which focuses on education for young people. So right now we're heading south on Norman Manley Boulevard. Pretty beautiful day, as you can see. I don't know what the temperature was when we filmed this, but it was nice. It was a nice day. And so we're heading towards downtown Negril, and on your left is the shared user path. So that's running, walking, biking, and that goes for a little bit over 2 miles. To your right is the Negril Beach Park. It has a basketball court and the beach, of course, and just really open space. Unfortunately, it's closed right now. They have plans to do some refurbishing. And then we just passed the Negril Community Center. And then we're also passing the craft market on your right side. And this is the South Negril River and Bridge. And we're heading to the Negril roundabout. Of course, going into the roundabout, you have to give way. And if you're in the roundabout, you have the right of way. And we are going west end, so we're going to be taking a right here at the roundabout and veering left. And so here downtown, this is a few shopping centers, if you will. There's Little Caesars Pizza on the right, Popeyes, Burger King. There's a Digicel store down here as well. And on the left coming up is Scotiabank, which some people might be familiar with depending on where you are from, but it's a Canadian bank. And I guess officially this is where the west end of Negril starts. And on your left here is Corner Bar, which is a pretty popular restaurant. Great local food. Haven't had it in a while, but the reviews continue to be very good. And on the left, that's Vendors Plaza. That's the Negril Chamber of Commerce owned plaza. And on the right, obviously, we have the sea. Unfortunately, I don't think we panned right, but you basically can see the entirety of Negril on the right-hand side if you were to look right. You need to get a 360 camera next time, right? Anyway, on the left is the Negril Post Office. Not in the greatest of shapes, but that is our post office. And then right after that is Samuel's Hardware on the left. And that's, I would say, probably the most popular hardware store in Negril. Mostly every business uses them. And then on the left, the green building, that's Quality Traders. That's where I do my grocery shopping. Been going there for years. And then we're coming up on the, I guess what used to be the High-Low Value Master NCB Plaza, but NCB and High-Low moved. So that's no longer there, and that place is being refurbished. And this is called Church Corner. As we move through the West End. Just cruising. And this is the Negril Library on the left, and then followed by Negril All Age School. And then this is another hardware store on the left. Hope you guys are enjoying this so far. I'm just flowing with it, and as I see things, I'm going to point them out to you. On the right is the Negril Yacht Club, which is for sale. Hopefully, should be doing a video on that hopefully sometime soon. Canoe Bar is on the right. It's pretty much the only property on the west end that has a beach. Good food there. Haven't been there in a while either, but their food is pretty good. That used to be German bar, but I don't know what it is now, but boats used to pull up there. They used to have really good pizza. This used to be Boat Bar on the right, but it changed into something else. I'm not sure what it is now. And then Millard is on the left, and if you know Millard, that's 24 Hours Place. Good food as well. And then Patsy's is on the right, so they do, I think it's basically the only standalone coffee shop in Negril. And they do good pastries, good lunch. I did a live stream from there and also did a video with them as well for the channel, which was cool. This is Ocean Cliff on the right we just passed. I did the farewell dinner there for ThropX 2022. Beautiful property, formerly known as the Spa Retreat. But beautiful property, great food that we had there for the farewell dinner retreat. And here on the West End, like, it's a very different experience than the beach. As you can see, like, it's very, it's I wouldn't say secluded, maybe too strong of a word, but definitely when you're on the properties, it's a little bit more secluded and separated, as compared to the beach, where there's just more traffic and no real, I guess, super separation between the properties. And really talking in terms of traversing. So to go from property to property here, you actually have to come out the property and walk along the roads here, whereas like the properties on the beach, you can either walk on the beach and go from property to property, or the road, if you will. And if you're across the street from the beach, then we have the shared user path, depending on where the property is. Now we are passing Samsara, which is friends of the family, another good small hotel in Negril. I was on mute. Sorry about that. Thank you. So sorry to cut that short. We had to we have a short period of time today with Sunday. So we only I know this sounds like a long period, but I only have like 2 hours to talk today, and I really just want to get into our subject at hand, which is why I think people should be highly considering investing in Negril sooner rather than later. And as usual, in respect to how we start these off, always love to hear where people are from, what city, what state, what country. I think that kind of brings us together a little bit, but want to wish everybody a happy Sunday from here in Negril, sunny Negril, Jamaica. We are having very nice weather today, this morning, this afternoon. Not too hot. Got a little bit of a breeze. People are just hanging out, enjoying the weather, enjoying the beach here in Negril. And like I said, I only have 2 hours today, so I really want to hop very early into our discussion. And I think there is a lot to digest and a lot to think about as we go through our discussion today. And I think you'll get a sense of that, and also looking to get feedback from you all wherever you are, and especially if you're in Jamaica particularly. I'd love to hear some of your feedback on what we're about to discuss or talk about in short order. So let's get to some comments before we really get going here. What's going on, Kevin? Happy Sunday. Thanks for joining. Chris, what's going on? Chiming in from Panama City as usual. Always appreciate your support and your presence. Hello, Andrew. Hi, Suzette. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday, Justin. Corey, MPA. Good to see you. What's going on, Wayne? Andrew Swaby. Happy Sunday to you, Andrea. Hey, Fitz, what's going on? Listening from Atlanta. Nice to have you. Yeah, seeing all the mic sounds. Sorry, rookie mistake. I literally had it pressed on mute, but I think we're okay now. Sherry chiming in from Florida. MDL chiming in from the Washington D.C. area. Nice to have you. What's going on, Mark? Brampton, Canada. Certsy. Wayne chiming in from Texas, and K in the ATL. Justin, of course, watching NFL Red Zone on a Sunday. I think that's to be expected. I think everybody knows that by now for sure. So let's hop right into the discussion today, because like I said, I have shorter than usual. Probably under 2 hours at this point. Jets are up. Yeah, yeah, yeah. My friend has season tickets to the Jets, season Jets tickets, and he just gave them away this Sunday. It's one of those things. It's like being a Mets fan. You just they get your hopes up, and unfortunately, more often than not, they let you down. But we stick with them no matter what. We stick with them. Chris, Strong Island is in the building. Nice to have you. Janine, what's going on in Pembroke Pines, Florida? Good to have you. All right. So today let's do some updates before we like really hop into it. Didn't do last Sunday's live stream because I ran the Negril Reggae Marathon, or now the Reggae Half Marathon. Unfortunately, they cut it down to only a half marathon, and now Jamaica only doesn't have a full marathon, which is kind of sad. But I think at the end of the day, it was a business decision that the organizers had to make. And I do hope one day that Jamaica will have a marathon. And Negril seems to be the best place to find 26.2 miles of road to run and race on. And this year's the first year in, I think, 22 years, if I'm not mistaken, that the Jamaica does not have a marathon. So I don't know if there's another part of the country that may take it up. I know before COVID, they had a marathon in Kingston, which I was supposed to run, but I was in Japan, and I was trying to come back for it, and it just didn't work out. Anyway, right now, yeah, Jamaica doesn't have a marathon, but next year, so this year they did the half marathon and 10K, and next year they're going to add a 5K, which, when you get down to those shorter distances, you are going to attract more people that maybe in like it just is a smaller hill to climb or to jump, in terms of if you're trying to, get your fitness started and your fitness journey, your running journey started, and you want to take baby steps, which I think is the right way to do it. However, in the longer distances like the marathon, not being there, uh, don't like that. I don't like that personally. I don't like that personally. And it just kind of takes away like from a like for somebody who like travels the world to run marathon and to go into races, a marathon distance is really like it's really a staple, and it says a lot about the country, it says a lot about the city. And now that we don't have one, it's a little bit of a sad situation. And even though Jamaica is not a long distance running country, or at least known for our distance running, we are still a running country, and I still think it's important that we have a marathon here. So again, hopefully one day that will happen and it will come back, and hopefully it comes back to Negril, and maybe adding the 5K to the options of running distances will bring more people into the fold. I also think a good opportunity is really getting these running influencers to come and join these races. Even now, next year, 2024 Reggae Marathon, half marathon, get some of these. I've mentioned this before to the organizers. Maybe I need to bring it up again, but there are so many amazing running influencers of all different levels of running and fitness ability, but nonetheless, they inspire so many people along their journey. And I think having those people join the races and join it will inspire people to come and meet them and join the race and join and do a marathon with them as well. So just my thoughts. I did just so kind of wrapping up the marathon last Sunday. I did the half marathon. I came in second place, which is cool. But of course, who doesn't want to go for first place? But I knew going into it, I didn't have first place fitness at the time. I had ThropX going on, and I took literally probably like 7 or 10 days off of training. So I didn't have any training. And so I basically used that race as a long run, as a training run, because I just knew I didn't have the fitness, I didn't have the legs or anything like that. But that wasn't really even the excuse. Like my main thing was I tore my meniscus in my right knee, and so I've been running on it for the last, I want to say, 4 or 5 months at least. I've been running on a with a torn meniscus, but you can, I think it's a, I don't know what grade it is, but you can run on a torn meniscus. It's just gonna be slightly painful and a little achy. I talked about it with my coach, and he's like, as long as I can handle it, it'll be fine. Like no like long term structural damage, and that was my main thing. So I definitely felt that in the race. Definitely felt my knee. Definitely felt my legs. It was painful run, which was surprising because I didn't expect for such a short distance, because I'm used to running a much longer distance. I didn't expect my legs to be in so much pain during the race, but used to it. I've been there before, so it was fine for me to keep going and maintain my pace. But now it's time to really rest up. I haven't ran this entire week, get the knee fixed. Trying to get squeezed in for an MRI this week, as a matter of fact, on my knee, so I know exactly what's going on, and looking to perhaps get these PRP shots. And I've talked about this before. I got PRP shot, and so I would do that here in Jamaica. And as we talk about health tourism and the benefits of the healthcare system here in Jamaica, I got a PRP shots in my left knee. I forget what it stands for. I think PRP is plasma rich platelets, if I'm not mistaken. If there's any medical professional out there who can correct me or concur that I have that acronym correct. But basically, how that works is they take a syringe of your blood, they put it in a centrifuge, it spins super, super fast, it splits the plasma from the blood, they throw the blood out, they take the plasma, your own plasma from your own body, and they inject it into the area that needs healing. And basically, you're using your body to heal your body. And people use it for all different parts of their body, knee, ankle. My dad did it with his hip. People use it for hair regeneration, different parts of I know hair and face kind of situation. But my other option was to do cortisone shots, which I could have done, but I don't. The only reason why I don't like cortisone, I've heard, is like it doesn't heal the problem, and so that's why I went with PRP. But it helps it feel better almost instantaneously, whereas PRP is a much longer road, but it's more sustainable over a longer period of time. So as long as the MRI says I can get these PRP shots, and or at least that makes sense for a plan moving forward, then I will do that in my right knee, because it's worked so well for my left knee, and I have no issues with my left knee at all. I tore my MCL last summer, no, last spring, and then I had the meniscus tear. So it was like 2 back-to-back injuries in the same knee, and so I was like, "Man, it's time to get this fixed." So now focusing on that, and I'm gonna be doing it everything here, the MRI, the shots, if that's the main thing that they say to do, and I'll be sure to document it and share my experience with that of just getting like the full on treatment and recovery here in Jamaica, and as well as the cost of everything moving forward. So I think that would be kind of kind of cool just to share that experience and everybody know like the real time numbers with what's going on. So that's pretty much, I would say, the update. Like I said, second place, which I got first, but I didn't deserve first. I could tell you that. And the guy Kamar, he's beaten me. This is the third time in a row this guy has beaten me in a race. And so he beat me last year reggae marathon in the full marathon. He beat me at the Sagicor 5K. That was really close. I was sick that day. Like I was really sick that weekend, and I pushed through. And I mean, he got me by like, I think under, it must have been like 8 or 10 seconds. But he's a Jamaican runner, really, really talented dude as well. And so one of these days I will catch him. So congratulations to Kamar, and friendly competition, he's a good dude. He's a good dude, trains hard, and like I said, really, really talented. But one day, kind of like, keep these people in the back of your mind, your little list of people that you want to beat and times that you want to beat. So really, really happy for him. All right, let's hop to the comments real quick, and then we will keep going. Virtual Design Studio says, would there be a way to combine short and long distance? Oh, that's what they're doing. I think if I'm answering your question correctly or understanding your question correctly. So the 5K, 10K, and half marathon will all start at the same time next year. And I am definitely worried about that because like they need to stagger it. Like even like there's like, so even like the 10K people, like you have the schoolers. I don't know what time they ran the 10K in, but they should be at the front. Like these guys are gonna take off like rockets. But then you have me, and like we all know each other, like all of like the fast runners in Jamaica. Like we do the same circuit, like where there's Kingston, Montego Bay, Negril, Treasure Beach. We're all running the same circuits. Like especially now, like this is like the beginning of the racing season for Jamaica. So it's very opposite of like the New York or the States. So like everybody's like in winter season in New York. And so everybody's going to the armory or indoor training. And there is not like a plethora of 5Ks, half marathons, that sort of thing that you can participate in New York during the winter. But right now in Jamaica, this is like when all, like, I won't say all the races, but a lot of the races are starting. And anyway, so that this is how I know these guys. So we'll have these races, like these circuits, like it'll go from there's a break now, but basically starting in January, it'll go basically right till March, even the end of April, I would say, of like a series of different races around the countries. And like we all meet up with each other. Sometimes this guy is faster than that guy on that day, and so on and so forth. So like all of the fast, like half marathon, 10K guys, like we're all together in the corral, but like in front of us, you have like you have like recreational runners, which is fine, and there's nothing wrong with that. But and like we had to, like, I remember there's this group of ladies, like, but you could, like, they were gonna walk, they are walkers, and you could tell like that's what they're here for. They're here to enjoy the time and enjoy the experience, which they have every right to. But I shouldn't have to like go around them, or perhaps maybe there's faster people behind them, and then it's a little dangerous. I didn't hear about anybody getting hurt, but the way that it's set up is like, man, you got it. They just have to do a better job of just like staggering that and just putting the faster people in the front. Every race that I go to around the world, like you're put in a specific corral, and it's checked by who, like the volunteers or whatever it is. And then then you, in order to get in that corral, you have to have like the right bib or whatever it is. But just something to think about. I mean, it's minuscule. I don't say it's minuscule, but it's just something I think the organizers should think about. I know one year they tried to do it, but this year was just a little bit annoying. So to your question, Yeah, everybody's going to start at the same time, but they definitely, I feel like that needs to be staggered moving forward, so nobody gets hurt, and then everybody can have like a really good race experience moving forward. Jim, watching from Brooklyn, Virtual Design Studio says first place next time. Yes, that's the goal for sure, for sure. Mm. Jeff says, I just read that the Gleaner is talking about huge pollution problem with the water treatment. Yeah, I saw that too. I know exactly what they're talking about. Um, and we're not going to be really talking about that today, but we will definitely talk about that in the future. The only respect that I will talk about that is like we brought this up before on the podcast, talking about the need for Negril having a tertiary sewage treatment center plant. And then the upgrade of our sewage system because of the growing population. And so this is fairly common. I wouldn't say common, but like a lot of people know about it here, and this is something that we as a community have been advocating for a very long time. And again, has these calls have grown louder as the anticipation of a growing population, residential population, and growing population, hotel population as well. All right, and Vivine is chiming in from not Philly, Pennsylvania. All right. So that's pretty much all the updates that I have in the last week or so. And what I want to touch on today is really just a few interactions that I've had in the last couple of weeks. And I thought it might even have been like perfect timing coming off of Throp X, as a matter of fact. And you all, especially you all who have been here for the last, I would say, the last year, even like the beginning of this year, and even years prior, we've talked in, I would say, in depth on particular subjects or particular areas uh, on uh, on what is coming and what's happening in the Greater Negril area in respect to large investments. And it's, with the investment conference, that was a big inspiration behind ThropX. Of course, this community was a big inspiration behind ThropX, or the inspiration behind ThropX. And in in planning and organizing event of that nature, where we are trying to open the eyes of people in the community to consider not just investing in Negril, but just investing in Jamaica, and then bringing together a series of experts that can help you do that, and then also providing, I would say, providing um the information and maybe even evidence, I would say, as to why one might highly consider investing in Jamaica. And I would say, like, if you were to say, like, oh, what's your agenda with this? And my agenda in this, I would say, and I hope this is clear and apparent, is specifically to open the eyes of this community, and this community that we've built together, and then also the wider Jamaican community. So that could be Jamaicans living here in Jamaica, and also maybe most especially Jamaicans living abroad. Whether if you are in the Jamaican diaspora, in respect to somebody who was born and raised here in Jamaica and has been living abroad for an extended period of time, or maybe you are the son or daughter of a Jamaican parent, are Jamaican parents, and you are considering investing or moving to Jamaica. And then I would say, broader than that, like anybody who has Jamaica's best interest at heart and wants to see Jamaica do well and be a part of what I believe to be a growing and forward moving country and economy. And I want people to also, like, those people who want to be a part of that in terms of investing and helping it move forward, but also looking at getting a return and making a smart investment. So it goes two ways. So that's my agenda in terms of who am I appealing to? Why am I doing this? And I feel like it's important. I see a lot of this in the comments that, Jamaica isn't going to be for Jamaicans, especially when I put out especially when I put out these shorts that just to go like semi-viral or whatever you want to call it. They're just people who just don't understand my content, does don't understand this platform that we've created here, and they think that I am trying to sell out Jamaica, so to speak. Not at all, not at all. I wanna see more than anything else, I wanna see Jamaica be owned by Jamaicans. This is that for many people, this is your birthright land, and why shouldn't you be a part of it? And there is a lot of, I would say, I guess you can call it a stigma, especially as it relates to the crime here in Jamaica. And there are people who have the mindset, I'd never invest in Jamaica, like your own country, because of the criminality, et cetera, which I understand. And I also try to make a case why you should perhaps look past that and really read between the lines in respect to what's going on. But anyway, I'm severely digressing, but I just want to just make clear what my agenda is here and who I want to appeal to and who I would love to see win in this greater scheme of things, because I feel like if you have a vested interest here in Jamaica, and I feel like Jamaicans do, naturally, you are going to make decisions in the interest of your countrymen and women, and that of local individuals. And I think where we are moving towards is that there's an opportunity to uh, like lift up Jamaica as a whole. And I've always been saying the trajectory that Jamaica is on, it shouldn't, and it's a trajectory that I highly believe in and I am highly confident in, but it shouldn't be one that is concentrated in respect to the benefits, shouldn't be concentrated into one small group of people. This should be something that is felt by the average Jamaican and the average person, and the quality of life of the younger generations should be better than that of their parents and their grandparents, because of the direction that Jamaica is going in. And so I will also say, and this maybe sound maybe counter to that, but I really don't think so. I also encourage it very much, like foreign direct investment, like from foreigners who really have no affiliation with Jamaica. And to me, I feel a sense of pride when either an investment group or uh, a singular investment, or maybe even somebody who's retiring but just fell in love with Jamaica coming here in the 80s, and they're choosing to call Jamaica their home or their retirement home. Of all places in the world, they chose Jamaica, and that makes me feel really proud. And I think that's awesome, and that's something that we should all be proud of, and we should all welcome. Even in these large investments, when we see these, we talk a lot about the Princess Hotel, for example, a 2,000 room hotel, largest hotel in Jamaica once it's completed, right here in Green Island. We're talking about 20 minutes from Negril. When when I look at that, I say to myself, would, and of course there's a limit to this, but that company, whoever they are, I really don't know. I really am unfamiliar with their structure. They could have taken that investment to some other country. They could have taken that investment to some other island. But now we have thousands, I forget how many thousands of people are working on that construction project right now, but we have thousands of our people who are employed because of that investment currently right now. We will probably, not probably, we will they will, I should say, let's talk about we, they will have thousands of people that they will be employing full time. And this is a huge economic impact on such a small community, and having so many individuals employed by this one company. And again, those individuals otherwise may not have had jobs or a job opportunity. And again, I'm proud and happy that they chose to invest in Jamaica and somewhere else. And then on the other side of that coin, it's like also they believe in Jamaica. They believe in Jamaica so much that they're going to invest tens of millions of US dollars in Jamaica. So they see something, they understand something that I would say a lot of people don't understand. And when I say understand, we are probably the average person, myself included, is probably not privy to the information and data that a company of that magnitude will have access to. And they have researchers and they have teams that are focused on ensuring as best as they can that this is or that will be a successful, profitable investment. And so I also look at things like that as well. So my point is, and laying this out, this preface, if you will, is that I want to be like very very clear on my agenda and what I'm hoping to achieve in presenting this information to you all. And of course, I'm a stakeholder here. I have a family owned hotel, and I of course have family here, and so I'm not going anywhere. And we do my family does a lot for the community, and this really does come from my dad. And there are a lot. I would say, like I always say, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn here. I always say, like specifically, like Negril. I don't know where Negril would be, and especially the children and kids of Negril. I don't know where it will be without these nonprofit organizations, and they do so much for Negril and for the community of Negril. I'm talking about the Mary Gate of Heaven Church. They have the St. Anthony's Soup Kitchen. They have the Get Kids to School program that they've partnered with the Negril Rotary Club. So the Negril Rotary Club as well. The Rock House Foundation. These guys built the Negril Library. They building continue to build schools, and they just do like these organizations are just so committed to Negril and so committed to the children of Negril, and they make a real mark difference in these kids' lives. And they've been doing it for decades at this point. Like for a lot of those people, like this is what they do. Like especially like the Negril Rotary Club, a lot of them are expats and they're retired from their respective professions, and a lot of them are using their professional skills that they have and applying it to the community here, whether that's their organizational skills, even like there's a literacy program, like just great things that they do, that they're fully committed. And you see, and I've been here long enough, like you see the impact that these organizations and the individuals of these organizations have on kids from when they were like little 8, 9 year old, 7 year old kids, like, and now they're teenagers and now they're adults. Makes me feel old. But my point is there are some really, really committed people to Negril and seeing Negril move forward and do well. So definitely want to commend them. And then of course, my family's nonprofit organization, the Negril Education Environment Trust, and these organizations are very important. And like I said, even us, we do our tablet program. We had it yesterday, and like every year or multiple times during the year, we have this tablet program. And students come in, we teach them life skills alongside their parent or guardian, which is a requirement of the course. And then at the end of the course, they get a tablet to take home with them. And we use that tablet as a tool and also an incentive for the students and their family to continue to come to class. And yeah, I think those organizations are very important. And then on the and then like kind of moving into like the leadership of Negril and the forward movement of Negril, we have the Negril Chamber of Commerce, which is important because like Negril, and I just, I don't know who's watching this, but it's important to note that Negril is not its own municipality, and Negril stretches across two different parishes, Westmoreland and Hanover, and that sometimes, not sometimes, it has put us in the middle of just some simple things, unfortunately. So this is one thing that I do believe needs to happen is that Negril does become its own municipality. But in the meantime, I would say the Negril Chamber of Commerce has been a great lobbying group for really pushing the needs of Negril, and they've been doing it for decades. You know, really, really important organization and group for Negril. And then I would say the other organization, but it's also part of a much larger organization that's important to Negril, is the Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association, and we have the Negril chapter here. I was the chapter chairman for Negril for 2 years, and then also I was on the executive board for a year, the executive national board for a year. And then also, so these are the, so I'm naming all these things to kind of just show the importance of the cohesiveness of these organizations and how kind of things get done in Negril of just like working together, and whether they're nonprofit or for-profit organizations, and the hotels coming together to really push Negril forward. And it's just so crazy. You know, we now find ourselves as a community at this. I can't even really. I guess we are at in a bit of an impasse, but we are now a community that has struggled for a long time, and I believe we still do continue to struggle to get, I would say, the eyeballs slash consideration for investment and improvement. And I trust me, I believe we have a very long way to go, but we've also come so far. I mean, so far. I was just talking to somebody who's been coming to Negril since he was a little boy, and he was telling me he used to come from Mandeville and come to Negril, and there was the only hotel here was Tea Water, and everything was just bush here, and now and like it's just like it's just so mind-boggling. I can imagine of just seeing the development of Negril and what it's turned into over the years, and now we're like it seems like rocket fuel is about to be added to all of this, you know, and herein lies where the argument, if you will, or the case to invest in Negril starts, right? And I've said this before, is like I've never ever seen the amount of interest in Negril. I've never seen the amount of investments coming into Negril like I've seen before. And this is I'm talking about private investments, but I'm also talking about the infrastructural, government infrastructural investments that are approved and are happening and on the way. I alluded to this, I think, two streams ago. Dr. Kerry Wallace was the he's the head of the Tourism Enhancement Fund, and this organization, government organization, basically, for the most part, does all of the major tourism related investments in Jamaica, even medium-sized ones as well. I always refer to, because so many people know, it's probably the easiest to relate to, is Harmony Park. So that was funded in Montego Bay. Harmony Beach Park was funded by the Tourism Enhancement Fund. They'll also be doing the Negril Beach Park here as well. Um, they are. We talked about how bad the road is on the west end, particularly in that curve by Millard. And so that is going to actually be the funds and everything have been approved for that. The funds for that road, that part of the road, is coming from the Tourism Enhancement Fund. So anyway, Dr. Kerry Wallace, he is the head of that. He's the executive director for the Tourism Enhancement Fund, and he was the keynote speaker for ThropX this year. And his speech was phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal. And I am not. So this year um, we're doing a select release of. Sorry, for next year. That is, we're doing a select release of the different panels from ThropX this year. They were, they were fantastic. They were amazing. We are going to keep them behind, most of them behind the paywall, paywall because like a lot went into this and into it from a technology side, from a media side. Like it was phenomenally done. I'm like really, really proud of how it came out from a digital standpoint. And if you are on the live stream and you saw it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Shout out to Ramon for putting all that together and just having a professional team and being such a professional. And so but there are select panels and speeches that I'm like, we have to give this away for free. Like we have to put it out there. It's like so important that Jamaica sees this and that people are considering investing in Jamaica are aware of just the knowledge and information of the top professionals that we have here in Jamaica are disseminating and shared with us during ThropX. And then one of them is a speech that Dr. Kerry Wallace gave, and I'm absolutely releasing that. I'm probably gonna maybe not this year. I don't want to get caught up in Christmas or anything like that, but it's a must watch. And he, from a statistical analytical standpoint, he just makes the case as to why you should be investing in Jamaica and why you should be doing it now. And this is coming from a person with privileged information and privileged insight. And I mean, you just walk away from the speech just feeling just so inspired and just having like another level of understanding of at least I felt. And then also talking to participants who were there physically, they felt they just made the right decision not only to come to the conference, but to even consider investing in Jamaica. Like after his speech, there was no question by anybody in that room whether or not they should be investing in Jamaica. My point is, I will be releasing that. We'll be releasing that shortly, and in its entirety. Again, I just think it's so important that everybody hears it and everybody is aware of it. So, as it relates to projects coming this way and things that are happening in this side of the island, specifically to Negril, I was actually so it's actually two main points. I guess I want to be here make here. So I was actually in a meeting. So I told you guys like I was going to this like 2 Sundays ago. Like I was invited to this airport meeting that we're having here in Negril. So the airport. So in Negril, as if you're not aware, Negril has like an aerodrome. I'm just gonna show you guys. So those that aren't aware, Negril has an airport. So it's the Negril aerodrome. Trying to bring it up here on the maps. All right, let me share my screen here. Hold on one sec. I don't know why it's not working. It's not working here. I think I'll have to reset in order. I know exactly what's happening here. Let me try another one. If not, you're just gonna have to trust me. But anyway, Negril has an airport, is what I'm trying to, which what the main point I'm trying to say here. And we've talked about it several times. Like they're looking at extending extending the airport. Sorry, not the airport. They're looking at extending the runway, which is oh, I got it. Cool. Which I think will be a great thing for Negril. So let's go up here, and we're going to come back to this map shortly as well. So, just so everybody's aware, like this is Jamaica. We are on the westernmost part of Jamaica here in Negril, and this is the 7 miles of white sand beach in Negril. So we got 5 miles here. Long Bay is as this is like one big bay, and then they call this Bloody Bay here, which is 2 miles of beach, which makes up the 7 miles of beach. And then as we go on the northern part here, this is the Negril Aerodrome right here. And this right now, like it's just small planes that come in, and you're just flying locally. I remember back in the day, we used to like people used to fly from Negril to Kingston, do their business, and come back. I've done that with my dad. Only one time. That was a really scary, rough ride. As a matter of fact, I'll never forget that because it was such a small plane. Like every little gust of wind, we used to go like up and down, up and down, up and down. Very scary, but that was part of Negril, right, back in the day. And you could even Air Jamaica, so it was like commercial flight. Like I was talking to somebody about it today. It was like $40 to get to Jamaica. Jamaica to get to Kingston, or something like that. But that's gone, unfortunately. And anyway, yeah, that's the type of plane, the size planes that they have taken off uh, from from that location. And so anyway, they were looking to are the meeting I was in is like it's a consultation meeting, essentially looking to get feedback from the community as to different elements that we'd like in the airport, and how even like from that to like how long we would want the runway, what type of planes that we want coming in. Also talking about the location as well, if that's the right location. So it was a very, I would say, it was a great meeting. I also learned a lot from everybody in the meeting and who was there. And I commend the organizers for putting this together, and then also reaching out to the community and making them be a part of that. Because there's been projects before that, like, we just don't know here in the Grove, we just don't know anything about. But then all of a sudden, there's construction that just starts out of nowhere, or they just start doing things without public consultation, which I think is very, very important. It's important to also, I believe, to get just a wide wide spectrum of opinions, because the girl is made up of so many different people, so many different socioeconomic levels. And so, the perspective of, say, a craft vendor at the fruit and vegetable market is going to be very different than that of, say, a GM at an all inclusive, or myself, the owner of a small hotel. But all opinions are very important, extremely important. And so I will say what I walked away from that meeting with is like um, the feeling that I got while I was in that meeting. I was just like, and there's like a bunch of details that we don't necessarily need to go into from the meeting, but the feeling that I got from that meeting and sitting there, I'm like, oh my gosh, you gotta invest in the grill now. Like that's like the inspiration for this live stream today, is that feeling in that moment that I had in that meeting, and hearing the experts talk about what they plan on doing, getting feedback from the community in respect to what we would like to see happen, how would we like what amenities that we'd like at the airport and why, and getting everybody's opinion. I was like, wow. I was like, I can't. There was like such a element of like, I can't believe we're here. I can't believe we're having this meeting, and I can't believe we're actually talking about it. And I was gonna say, like, we're actually considering it, because the meeting wasn't even, maybe there's like I would say, if I could, my opinion, if like maybe there's a 10% chance that we're considering not doing this. Like, at least that's the feel. This is my only first meeting. I could be totally wrong on this, but the feeling that I got from the meeting is like, this is happening. And I'm like, man, Little Negril is going to get this international airport. I'm like, this is just so crazy. And all this time, like, I've been thinking, like, before even the airport was, like, announced, a few months ago when we were reading these articles together, I was just, like, wondering, like, looking at the highway that they're building from Montego Bay, I'm like, "Why are they doing this for Negril?" It seemed like they were doing this for Negril. And I'm like, "Why are they doing this for Negril? Like, what about Negril is like, are they seeing that I'm not seeing?" You know, because I was like back then, again, before the airport announcement, I was like, they're gonna build a highway from Montego Bay to Negril just so we can, like, when I say we, like the people who've been here for like 20, 30, 40, 50 years in Negril and have had our businesses here and that have gone through the worst of the worst, the financial crisis, COVID, like all these like global economic things that happened, and Negril has survived and these businesses have survived. And, like, now all of a sudden, they wanna build a highway from Montego Bay to Negril. I was like, "Man, I know we've been advocating for this for a long time, and, like, we wanted something of this nature for a long time. We wanted this attention, we wanted the investments," but I'm like, "Why now?" It just didn't add up to me. And then, like, as time goes on, like, you hear about the Princess Hotel. I'm like, "Okay, now that makes more sense." We got, like, a big boy hotel. We got the largest hotel in Jamaica coming to not Negril, but a little bit of outside of Negril. I was like, "Okay, that makes a little bit more sense." And then you hear about, like, and then I've learned in this airport meeting and then also in a subsequent meeting after the airport meeting of other incredibly large investments that are coming to this hotel investments specifically that are coming to this side. And I don't want to like say specific names because I don't, the sources that I'm hearing this from are like very credible, reliable sources. But like if I don't see it like in writing or approved or whatever it is, like these are just rumors, but like they are from very, very, very good sources. But I'm talking about large international, at least two that I know of, large international hotels that are going to be investing in the Green Island, in the Green Island area. Green Island coming back towards, let me bring that map back up so we can just have a visual effect, visual understanding. So this is Green Island here. So if you call, let's call here for now, I guess technically, this is what we call Salt Creek Bridge here. This is like the northernmost part of Negril. And then the Negril welcome sign is right before that, like that big, yeah, there we go. The big controversial $12 million Jamaican sign that people were up in arms about. Fine. Right past that, we'll call that the end of old Negril, right? Because, and these are not my terminologies. These are terminologies that have been being discussed and being used um, to the point where everything south, this is crazy, but everything south of Salt Creek Bridge is going to be known as and has been referred the last, I would say, 3, 4 years as Old Negril. And I'm like, what do you mean Old Negril? And so anyway, everything north of that bridge will be considered and known as and has been referred to as the New Negril. And I'm like, why are they doing that? Like why are they referring, like why are they using these terminologies? And like this week it became last week I should say, it became crystal clear to me as to why that is happening and why they're using these terminologies. And so oops. And so essentially, again, from what I don't know why it's doing that. From my understanding, basically, so anyway, let's bring a little bit more context here. So here's where Princess Hotel is. And oh man, I wish I knew the YouTube channel. I watched it like last week. There's a YouTuber who did small YouTuber, and if you Google it, you can just good follow too. Uh, they did a drone video on the Princess Hotel and where it's at the other day. But one day we will, maybe next Sunday, we'll do a live stream and we'll watch that video together and get them uh some subscribers. But they did a great job of breaking down the Princess Hotel and where it's at right now. So anyway, that's I just wanted to bring some context. So that's where the Princess Hotel is located. Again, going to be the largest hotel in all of Jamaica. So we're looking at from Salt Creek Bridge to there. You're probably looking at about a 15 to 20-minute drive. That's why they're calling it the New Negril. It's going to have a casino. It's going to have, I don't know. That's all I know. It's going to have a casino, but I think that's exciting for us. That's exciting for this part of the island that we're going to have one of the biggest attractions in Jamaica, really at our doorstep. And so, anyway, oh, no, I just missed my point. So the point is that basically from right north of Salt Creek Bridge all the way this way, there's an incredible amount of investment that's happening. I mean, we're talking about, this is the number that I heard, uh, between here, we're talking about something close to 5,000 rooms, three to 5,000 rooms. This is what I'm understanding. So you got 2,000 rooms right here at Princess Grand Jamaica, and then you got 1,000 here, 1,000. So call it 3 to 5,000 rooms that are going to be in this area. I've heard larger numbers than that, but like let's be a little conservative, that are coming there to this area. And so we got to think about and this is the way that my brain works. And we're like, I think somebody's talking about it right now. Um, Drone's Eye View, that's the name of it. So that's maybe that's it. Hopefully that's it. And just give them a plug because I got a lot of value out of that, and I appreciate the work that they're doing. So that's a ton of rooms, right? That's a ton of rooms. And I think let's think, I should say, together. What are the implications of that? We talked about Princess Hotel, and I mentioned the Tisha, you're ahead of me. You're ahead of the class right now. You're skipping ahead. You're skipping ahead the curriculum. We're getting there. We're getting there. But you're a great point. Traffic is going to be insane. So what does this mean, right? That's one, Tisha. Tisha, traffic is going to be insane. Let's stick to the positives, right? So I mentioned the Princess Hotel. There are thousands of people that are employed right now on the construction side of things. There are going to be thousands of people employed, full-time employment, that are going to be working for those hotels. And these 3 to 5,000 rooms that are supposedly coming. Please take that with a grain of salt. I haven't seen or read anything that confirms that, but again, very, very good sources that tell me that this land has been bought. This international, world-renowned hotel chain is coming here, and there are two of them that I've heard. And I think one of them was announced, but I can't confirm that, so I'm not going to say. Anyway, so there are thousands of construction jobs that are going to come in, thousands and thousands of full-time workers in the hospitality. I mean, you got to think about, they call it in GHTA, we had a specific arm of the GHTA called the linkages arm. And what the linkages does, and this is so important in hospitality and in tourism, is what are you have hotels, you have hospitality, what are the arms and branches of different economic hubs that stand to either benefit or support hospitality, and they may not be directly hospitality, right? So farming, for example, yes, it's hospitality, but we need food for the country, but that is an arm. Transportation is another one. That's very much part of the tourism economy. And so all of these things and all of these industries are going to benefit or be a part of this ecosystem in a very, very large and impactful way. And so even with the full-time employment of the people in the hotel, there's going to be so many more people who benefit from these large, large, large companies and large hotels. And there's just so many things. I mean, the car rental companies, the transportation, farming, the attractions that are in the area, the attractions that are going to be now built because of this, the entrepreneurship that is going to come off of this because they're going to need supportive services, the communities. Where are all the people who are going to work there? Where are they going to live? There has to be development. There has to be development. Where even now, like I was going to say, forget about the workers, but like I was going to even say, not even forget about them. So like you have thousands of I just think about everybody. Like I'm sure, like now a big thing now is butler service. So, I mean, you got everything from butlers, waiters, waitresses, housekeeping, groundsmen, maintenance. Oh my gosh, like just all these different departments and all these different people that will need places to live. One of the hotels that I'm referring to, uh, from what I understand, they are going to be doing a housing development for their workers because they understand the capacity that we have right now. Even here in Negril, we couldn't. There's not enough houses here in Negril. Imagine that. Like people again. Let's look at the map again. I mean, and we can use. I mean, I'm not a structural engineer. I'm not a town developer or anything like that, but I can make sense out of nonsense, as they say, right? And so even with these 2,000 rooms here, it's just like, are people gonna? I mean, I guess technically you could live in Montego Bay. That's a heck of a commute. You could live in Lucy. I don't know Lucy as being like this place where houses are just sitting there for people to move in and rent. I don't know that to be true. And I could tell you, moving to Negril, which is much closer than Montego Bay, we don't have the housing here. We don't have the housing to support all of these people who are working here. Even like the managers too, the executive chefs, like all these top level people. And I don't know, again, I don't know their business structure or anything like that, but I can bet you many of their top team members, the executive team members, I bet you they're not going to come from Jamaica, and there's going to be a standard of living in which they expect in terms of accommodations. And I could also tell you, being somebody who lived on property of his own hotel business, it's fun and cute for a very short time, but you don't want to live where you work. You do not want to live where you work. I've done it. I've done it for years. And you literally live at work. My point is, I bet you a lot of those people, they're executive people who are working for this company, they're going to need housing. They're going to need places to live. You have Ocean Point, which is in Lucy, which is here, which is fairly large. And so we're looking at Ocean Point right now. And they have, I believe, I don't know a ton about where they are now, but from what I understand, there are a few more phases that are coming and built. This is hill. I don't know if we can have is there a topographical map here? Let's see a terrain. I don't know if they show the elevation here. But anyway, my point is like they're building into the mountains and they have a few more phases to go here. And so is that enough to house all of these thousands of rooms of hotel rooms to come? I don't think so. I don't. To me, like that does not add up. That doesn't add up. Okay. Since somebody else said it, I guess I can say it. So Alfonso Worth says Throp Marriott Resort is coming your way very soon, and also the massive Unico Hard Rock Hotel and Casino, Ritz Carlton, and are under construction in Montego Bay. So I didn't even know about those. What I did know about is the Marriott. That's one that I continue to hear. I just want to continue here for this in the same area that that we're talking about right here. So you didn't not only heard that, you didn't hear from me, you heard it from Alfonso. But again, good sources that say that is coming this way. And there's another large hotel that I understand is coming. But again, I don't want to give out false information that I haven't exactly confirmed, and I just don't want to say it to be the first, or so to speak. So anyway, housing is housing is like a very, very, very important part of this equation. These are positive things. And as I opened up and prefaced all this with, when I talk about like making like, who do I want to see benefit, and ultimately at the end of the day, and to me is like, it should be Jamaicans in some way, in some fashion. And I look at these investments with some Marriott or other hotel conglomerates. There are so many jobs coming here, and there's so many opportunities that are coming. And I think it's a great thing. There's so many opportunities even outside of that hotel entrepreneurship with these developments for these communities that will, I don't know where these communities are going to go, but I see Rohan here in the comments. Rohan was at Thropex. Him and his partner a are doing a development. I think it's, if this is the same Rohan that was at Thropex, I'm assuming it is. Him and his partner are doing a small development in Lucy, and these to me, like, these are the things that are gonna come, like small development. And when I say small, like I'm saying like, 50 unit, 10 unit, 20 unit developments. I like, you're going to see pockets of these developments that are going to happen. But there also, I think there is a great need for like developments that are few hundred units, few hundred houses. Like, that's the type of development these sorts of investments are going to demand, because people need a place to live. All right. So we talked about like the benefits of all this and like this investment. And I think with those developments, there also is going to just be like, just all the things that come with a community. You need a grocery store, you need a mechanic, you need babysitting, you need all these things. You're going to need schools, you're going to need playground, like all these things, and like the private sector. This is something that Noel always says: the private sector is the one that drives development, that drives the infrastructural development. And so these are the type of risk that I encourage and I'd like to see, and all these developments are risk. Even the largest 2,000 room hotel, Princess Hotel, it is a risk that this company is taking, for sure. But I wish them the best, and I'm confident that it'll pay off. I'm confident that it'll pay off. Um, as we continue on here, one thing I do think about, I don't want to like think about like just the negative, positives, is like also like what could be the consequences here, and that's the environmental consequence. Could there be an environmental consequence? There is going to be an environmental consequence. There is. Like, you're gonna chop down just hordes of trees and ecosystems. It's just that's what development is. Like, this property here, Travelers, this was all a forest. This was all an Amazon jungle. This whole Negril beach was. But in order to have this development, you have to cut down those trees. And so there will be an environmental impact. I think, I'm hoping that the powers that be, like, I'm sure they are. NEPA is an organization, the National Environmental Planning Agency. Every one of these developments has to go through NEPA, and they're in their job, their duty, they're mandated to ensure that there isn't like any sort of catastrophic environmental impact that these investments can have on the ecosystem of Jamaica and the ecosystem of this side. So this is something, they call us here in the grill the tree huggers of Jamaica, and I wear that badge proudly, because we're a community that does put the environment first. But we also understand that development does need to happen, and but we have to be careful. And us as humans, like we've done a really poor job of taking care of the earth and taking care of the planet. Whatever your belief is in global warming and climate change, I mean, I think it's just so apparent that it's happening. And so we just want to be able, we want to hopefully say that we are contributing to this in the smallest possible way. And if there are ways to counteract it in any way, the environmental impact that these developments will have, I hope that those sort of strategies are implemented. So Tisha brought up earlier the impact of the traffic. I'm gonna get to some comments shortly. Sorry, I know I've been just going on and on and on here. Let me just touch on the traffic, right? So I called my dad the other day when I was driving downtown here in Negril, and this happened a few times, but I had to call him like on the spot, and I now realize and recognize, and this is got like just crazy to say, is that the grill has a rush hour now. Believe it or not, the grill has a rush hour, and I was just like, I was pulling out of Travelers, making a right to go downtown, and the traffic is backed up. I can show you on the map, and the traffic is backed up all the way to Travelers. And usually, I hate to say this, but usually, if the traffic, like normally, like back in the day, or not such a short time ago, actually, um, the if traffic is backed up to Travelers at that point, like usually there's an accident or something crazy happened, right? In either direction. And so, but this time I knew from my experience, my experience lately is that that wasn't the case. I knew the traffic was backed up from downtown. So if you're going to the downtown area, or if you're coming, say you're trying to go to the West End, or so this is downtown Negril. This is the excuse me. This is the Negril roundabout here, and then you can go to the West End Road to the Cliffs, or you can go on Nampro Road here towards Sav. And so usually this will take. So let me go up to Travelers. Sorry, I keep doing that. Usually, if I go from Travelers, so this is Travelers, so I'd be making a right out of the entrance here to come downtown to get to the roundabout. I mean, you're talking about 2 to 3 minutes maximum, to get down here. On Friday night, when I called my dad and I told him, I was like, we have we have rush hour. We really have rush hour. It was around 5 o'clock or so, maybe 5:15, 5:30. And I was going downtown, and it took me probably close to 20 minutes. I didn't get frustrated. I was like, it is what it is. It is what it is. And it just took me just to go downtown, over 15 minutes to get down there. I'm gonna turn this map off. It's getting annoying. And I was like, I just accepted it. I was like, this is just so interesting what's happening here. And I've been like just kind of taking notice of this for the last few months, especially going down during these times. And it was never like this. It was never like this. Maybe an occasional Friday, you go down there and like it just takes you a little bit longer to traverse traffic and go through. But now it's like regular, it's normal, which is just so interesting. Like we have this, we have this problem, right? And I think this is the beginning. This is just the very beginning. This is the very beginning. And I believe the powers that be, the government, they have traffic data. They're not making a decision to do a highway from Montego Bay to Negril or to wherever it's going to end off of the whim and the kindness out of their heart, and they think that Negril needs it. Like they're using data to make these decisions. I'm fairly confident they are, and they understand traffic patterns, and they have traffic data. And so, as Tisha mentioned about the traffic that is going to, I mean, it's going to be terrible. It's going to be terrible. So, like, let's think about it. The traffic now, oh my goodness. And if you've come to Negril in the last 2 years post COVID, you know that the ride from Montego Bay is like you got to just call it 2 hours now. You can't call it hour and a half. You used to be able, yeah, you used to be like, yeah, hour and 15, hour and a half. Now it's basically, I mean, it's like you gotta just say it's gonna take 2 hours because of, like, several bottlenecks, and I know we've talked about this before, but it's worth mentioning within the context of the conversation that we're having today, and one of the biggest bottlenecks is Lucy Town is going through Lucy. I'll just leave that there. If you know, you know, right? So that's one. Hopewell is another one. As we move into, where are we? As we move into Montego Bay, this is the Montego Bay Airport, Sanchez International Airport. Moving to downtown Montego Bay is another one. So this is where they're doing the bypass. I forget the other. We'll also look at this video, but there's another. Actually, there's a couple of YouTubers who are giving updates on the the we'll call it a bypass for our sake. So because but forget which meeting that I was in, but they don't like us. Oh, it's a Tropex. They don't like us calling it a bypass because it's not a bypass. It's a highway, and they wanted us to make sure that that was clear. So the way I understand it, I honestly don't know where it is on this map. I'm sorry, but instead of like coming back this way to come to Negril, you're actually gonna head east and then catch the highway back somewhere. I don't know exactly where it is, but that's what I understand how it's gonna go when you come out of the airport. And so the traffic is going to be horrendous, horrendous. And it's just we do need, and we talked about this before, but we do need some sort of Band-Aid solution now, and especially in the Lucy area, and they're supposed to be, I forget what day it's, I'm sorry, what month and day, but I understand they're going to be opening 1,000 of the 2,000 rooms at Princess Hotel in the next couple of months. And so even that's going to have a real impact on, it's going to have a real impact on the traffic as it is. And so we, like, without a doubt, like, there needs to be, and this is gonna be the reason why I brought up downtown traffic in the grill, but we need to have we need a highway from Montego Bay to Negril. And I don't know if that highway, like, stops off at, comes out at Orange Bay or something like that, but a highway is needed without question coming to Negril. I also think that there should be some sort of bypass road. Say if somebody, and like just think about this too, right? We have these thousands of hotel rooms that are coming into this northern sector of Negril, let's call it. Thousands and thousands of rooms. And there are going to be communities that are, I would assume, that are going to be built up in this area and beyond, perhaps even in Negril as well. And then perhaps those folks, maybe they need to do business in Little London, or maybe they need to do business in Savlamar, and they need to get here. Maybe they have family there. I don't know what the reason is gonna be for travel, but my point in this example is there may be a reason to get to the southern part of the island, and they don't need or have any reason to go to Negril. And we gotta remember, for those that don't know, is the Negril is there's a singular road, Norman Manley Boulevard. That's it. And the only real reason that you would need to go here is if, I mean, there is housing there. I shouldn't say that, but the main reason that you need to go there, but most people go there, like if you're going to work at a hotel or you have business at a hotel, or you're staying at a hotel. Other than that, maybe you can just skip through it. Maybe there's a way you can just come to, like, maybe you have business downtown or you want to go to the West End and you don't want to necessarily go through Norman Manley Boulevard because the boulevard is becoming very crowded. And like that, I mean, that needs to be thought of as well. There's just a lot of cars in Jamaica as a whole. There's a lot of cars in the grill. And I think it's only going to get worse, so to speak, with all this development that's happening. And I know some people were saying, if you had a highway from Montego Bay to Negril, why do you need an airport? You need both. You need both. I personally believe you need both. We need to take more cars off the road. That's one thing. We need more cars off the road. Like anything, like I'm even thinking, I was talking to my dad about it. And I was like, man, is there a way we can get some sort of public transportation? Um, like it's just, and then how do you say no to development? Like, is there an example around the world where just like a city, a place, just like nothing, no development? We are staying as we are. You know, it's just like there continues, like as I understand it, it continues to be provisions made to adapt to the population for whatever reason or whatever the circumstances are, right? And to me, the grill is about to like take off like no time in history before. It's like very, very clear to me. I was talking to a stakeholder the other day, and he was telling me just one, he can't believe it, that Negril is what it is and is going to be what it is and it's turning into. And like we having like all these investment prospectuses and investment investment in construction and all this stuff, like it's happening. It's like he like from what he knows and what he sees in the girl, he can't believe it. And from his point as a stakeholder and as an investor, he feels so good. He is just very bullish on it, and then he's just like patting himself on his back that he's invested in the grill and that he's made the commitments that he's made to Negril. And he's like, he never felt this way before. He never felt this way before. And he's just so excited, as am I, as I think a lot of people. And because, you know, us as people who've been in the grill for a long time, our families have been here for a long time, and your friends and your family have been here for a long time. We're just like, finally, and it hasn't even happened yet. This is all talk. This is things, articles in the newspaper, like, but it's just like, finally, we're somebody and people are paying attention to us, and we knew the gem and we know the gem that we have here. It just needs a little bit of polishing off. And it seems like that polish is coming soon. And so for the people and families who've been here for a while, this is so exciting in so many ways. Like we're like they're talking about having an international airport to Negril. Man, what does that mean? What does that mean to the next generation, especially coming up? I didn't grow up with an international airport here in Negril. Perhaps, the kid was born yesterday, when he's going and getting ready to go to elementary school here in Negril, there will be an international airport. And maybe he wants to be a pilot because he sees the planes take off and land here every day. Who knows? But it's like, and then also, and we can talk about the airport at a later time, but I think it's just very exciting, and going off the conversation with the gentleman I was talking to, of just the excitement that he has, and the just the turnaround that we've felt here. And it's just we knew it was inevitable, but, like, everybody's like, "Will it happen in my lifetime?" "Will it happen? Will the development that we know we deserve and that Negril deserves happen in our lifetime?" And it seems like it is, it seems like it is. And it seems like it is in, like, a very big way, so, very excited. So, let me get to some comments here. I know I've been going on for quite some time here, I meant to be saving them. Listen to Justin. He says, hit the like button. And if you're not subscribed, why aren't you subscribed? Hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed. How could you be in here and you're not subscribed? Don't want to miss out on content of this content of this nature. All right, all right, all right. All right. Shayna says, question outside of housing, what types of business services that would be beneficial to meet the need of future development? So this is a chicken and an egg situation, chicken and egg question is like it's like what comes first, right? It's like what comes first because do you wait for is a great question. Do you wait for these hotels to be built? Do you sit back and wait and then you're like, okay, I'm going to build a car wash, for example, or do you build a car wash and then you're ready for business in day one, sort of thing? But I mean, I think like any support businesses, and I remember I mentioned I think this is somebody please steal this idea the commercial laundromat. Like if there's ever a time to invest in a commercial laundromat with these, I don't know, and I know again, I don't know the business plans of these hotels. Are they going to have their own laundry or whatever have you? But if there's ever a time to invest in a commercial laundromat on this side of the island, like now is the time. From what I understand, many hotels here in Negril, or at least I know one for sure, they outsource their laundry to a laundry facility in Ochi. We're talking about a 3-hour drive, right? And so I always thought it would do phenomenal when when we've had here travelers have had issues with our washing machine, our laundry machine. We have to outsource it. We don't go as far as Ochi, but there's commercial laundromats here in the grill, but their equipment isn't the newest. So one of them that we use, they're not using commercial equipment. So, and I'm not saying this to put them out of business. I'm saying like there needs to be a complement to what is already existing because when 2 or 3 hotels, small hotels that is, and this has happened, I've been there, when our machines go down and we have to outsource it to a local company, they can't manage it. They can't manage it. And then you have all of these and whether these hotels and obviously do your due diligence and everything like that. When these hotels machines do go down, they do need to outsource it and it just happens. It's just part of the business, but it's just one of the most just critical things to have is just this having your laundry up and running. Good question. But I think, I don't mean to skirt your question, Shayna, but I think it just like it depends on what comes. It really does depend on what comes. Even at Dropbacks, we were talking about the development of a commercial real estate in the grill. And I mean, there's just so many businesses that are needed here. I mean, even workspace as well. I feel like so it really depends on it. To me, it's more like the timing. It's to me, it's like more the timing of when these businesses come in because I also think even from like a medical standpoint. So even like things like physical therapy, I think that is a great business to have. Because even with my knee, for example, like I opened talking about the PRP shots that I'm gonna get in my right knee, and I also need to strengthen my left leg because my right leg has been overcompensating for weakness in my left leg, and that's why I tore my MCL and my meniscus is because it was just like in these races, it was just taking the lion's share of the load, and so I need to go to physical therapy. Very limited options here in the grill for physical therapy, especially as I don't know if you want to call me a semi-professional athlete, but especially for an athlete at my level, a running athlete at my level. Sweet Feather says, and I'm sorry if I missed some of your comments, but I'm just kind of going to be going randomly. Sweet Feather says, good afternoon. I pray Jamaicans do not sell their land, especially up in the hills that have literal bloodlines to the land. With your own land, you do not have to depend totally on others to live. Tisha says, their management is definitely not going to be Jamaicans. It's talking about the hotels that are coming. The companies are based in Spain. I stayed at one of their hotels in Punta Cana last year. Hotel was beautiful, but the food was horrible. Um, there's another Marriott also coming to East Coast of Jamaica. All right, let me scroll down a little bit. Alfonso says, Throp, what are you? He says, well, Alfonso says, Thrive, what are you saying? I'm not a good news source. I'll not make the statement on development that I'm not very informed about. The massive Hard Rock Hotel and casino will be on the same property. Thank you, Alfonso. Nope. You're a great news source, man. You've actually opened my eyes to a lot of things happening before I even read it in the news, as a matter of fact. So, yeah, you are a great source of information. Alfonso says, with Unico and the Ritz Carlton construction is going on right now. I recently passed the development and input. Google it. Thank you for that, Alfonso. Appreciate you. Leonie Brooks says, so development trumps health of the environment and sustainability. Money rules. No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. I mean, you development needs to happen. I think it's important to do it in a sustainable way, though. I mean, like, even I don't know where you live, Leonie, but I'm fairly certain trees needed to be cut down to build your house or your apartment. Fairly certain, fairly confident of that. And so there needs to be other people. There's other people that need to live somewhere. There's other people that need to work, and they need roofs over their heads. Got to cut down some trees. Like, it has to happen, but it needs to be done in a smart and environmental way. That's my point here. Um, says praying there is a balance between the potential of positive economic impact and environmental effects. Okay, we're on the same page. We're on the same page. Justin says we should be building with the environment, not against it. Green Globe says Old Negril rush hour would be on foot. Jay Fitz says, based on the companies coming to Negril, it would be like Tulum and Destin, Florida. The non-exec workers will outside of Negril. The most modest homes will be expensive. We can't be naive, and that's something that, like, I would hope we would learn from. And so, when I was in Tulum, I remember me and my brother, we were saying this is just in October of this year, and like, 2 questions we asked. I was like, "Where do the hotel workers live, and how do they get home?" Because the taxi fares were astronomical. I will give the example that it cost them round trip $100 to go downtown and back of Tulum. Talking about a 25-minute ride or something like that. And it was just astronomical. And, like, the same question. Great point, Jay Fitz. Great point. And I hope we learn about that. And I was talking to the owner of Italian Cafe. We went there for ThropX this year, and he was basically saying, like, an important point. He's like, not enough people who work in Negril, excuse me, live in Negril. And we need to, like, focus on building, like, the residential population of Negril and having housing for those folks, because I think a good example, and I want to take this a couple different ways. A good example of the importance of local business was COVID. And so COVID during COVID, when there was no planes coming in, everything was cut off. There was only money within Jamaica, for the most part, circulating within Jamaica. And us here in Negril, there's a lot of people coming from other sides of the island. They were doing staycations. They were doing their digital nomad thing. They wanted to get away from their homes and say Kingston or Montego Bay, or whatever it is, and come to Negril, spend a couple of days, maybe a week, 2 weeks, and be on the beach. It's not congested like Kingston, and you had a lot more freedom here as well. You had space between, when we talk about social distancing, you have a lot more space here. And in many ways, the local economy and local dollar kept many businesses alive during COVID. And so I think, like, internally, I guess, within like our own economics system of Negril, like we can also create that where if we can have more local people here, they'll support more local businesses. So now, if you say live in Savlamar, or live in Lucy, and you finish your shift, you're not going to go 40 minutes in one direction after work, after 8 hour shift, get dressed, like maybe not even rest, maybe shower, get dressed, and then come back to Negril. I mean, if you do, how often are you gonna do that? You're gonna want somewhere that's easy. You go home and you meet some people for a drink, or even just leaving work and then going there for a drink and then go for 40 minutes, or you miss the staff bus, for example. And so we need more local housing here. And like, that's not anything new here on this channel. We need local housing here. And I think it's important that we build an economic system that supports itself. Another point to that is like also talking about, and I think this is a good point too, as I feel travelers is a very, for a long time, and like really credit to my dad, he he built a large part of our business with the focus of attracting local business and local Jamaicans, and he did this back in 2001 after 9/11, and he always tells a story about when those buildings came down, and we're not the hotel, we were not the hotel that we are now today. And when the twin towers came down, he's like, the world has changed forever. And he made it his business plan, his marketing business plan, immediately switched to local businesses, and he understood that travel will never be the same. And he thought it was gonna, and it was like, it was actually very dramatic. And you speak to any hotelier that was running their business specifically here in the grill, the effect of 9/11, post 9/11, to the business and to Jamaica and to the hospitality industry in Jamaica. It was a hard hit. Rates got cut. But what my dad did is, we had business was bad, but our front desk girls had a lot of time on their hands. And I know they hated doing this, but what he told them to do is literally go in the phone book and start marketing to every local business that was in the phone book. And so these poor front desk girls, they just got on the phone, started making their calls, telling them, whoever they talk to, about travelers, and that we have this rate available and this special going on. I want to talk about like thousands and thousands. And he did this for years. He pushed the front desk to do this for years. And I believe that's how we built, very manual intensive, but that's how we built our local business here. And that's how we became a bit of a, known as like not only a locally owned hotel, but also a hotel that encourages and wants local business. And so we've been known for that for a long time, and we continue to be. And I believe it also paid off during COVID, and this is probably the next generation, if you will, that was coming in COVID, but nonetheless, we were there out there in the market, and known as such, for such, I should say. And yeah, so we don't want to your point, Fitz, we don't want Negril to turn into a situation where local residents can't afford to live here. They can't afford to enjoy the fruits of, like I always say, the trajectory that Jamaica is on. Everybody should benefit from this. Let's go. Green Globe says you have the power to bring back old Negril in a modern way. Don't fall the mass modernization, please. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Um, but Negril needs to modernize, like for sure. I mean, there's just so many things like Negril that should be. I don't know. I would like to see Negril have, and I think a lot of people who've been in Negril for a long time, like we need to modernize and we need to move into the next century with so many different things. And of course, we want to be careful and intentional about what we're doing and really think, especially at this phase. Like I was saying, like people who have been in the grill for a long time were very excited about this, and we're saying finally, like, but nothing has happened physically, nothing has happened, but we are for sure at some sort of, I feel like, a very very important impasse and deciding the fate and the future and the direction that our community heads in. So it's exciting, but nothing has happened as yet, and I think it's important that we are intentional and we go after what we feel should be happening instead of like, I'm being cautious how to say this because like there wasn't necessarily like a development plan for Negril. There was like a road was cut and hotels were set up and just happened. It just evolved. There was no plan. There was no urban planning in this, and I think it's important. Now that we're educated a little bit more and have more access to information, I think we can do a better job for the next generation in planning and thinking 20, 30, 40 years down the line to like when I'm not here, when you're not here, like and thinking in those spans, in the next lifespan spans. Cherie says, imagine if they transformed that little private airport into an international airport, traffic would explode. Heard they were considering that. Yep, they are considering that. I think it's a like I personally think it's needed. Like we need an international airport. All of what you're saying is very important. Is very important. Like what comes with having an international airport? What sort of supportive infrastructure do you need for the airport to make sense? And I don't think you can just, like to your point, Cherie, I don't think you just slap an international airport where tomorrow we just start taking in 737, 747s coming into Negril. There's just so many other things to think about. And like you said, we can't, I think what we're trying to say, or maybe what I'm trying to say is like, we can't do developments of this nature in isolation. There's just so many other factors to take into consideration. But at some point, I do think that an international airport is going to be very important. And we also got to think too is like Negril, Jamaica as a whole, we are competing internationally. We're competing internationally for people to come to Jamaica. Remember, tourism is Jamaica's bread and butter. Don't forget about that. Tourism is what makes Jamaica turn. Don't forget about that. We can't take it for granted. We cannot take it for granted. This is something that we continuously have to work on. Here at Travelers, we're trying to give the best possible experience that we can to our guests who come from all over the world. We try to improve our product little by little, year after year, year after year, and people are hopefully satisfied and hopefully we exceed their expectations when they stay with us. And I feel, yes, we're a small little spec hotel, but I feel we are doing our job in presenting the hospitality that Jamaica has to offer, the best hospitality that Jamaica has to offer, especially within our category. And we know that we are, yes, we're competing with the hotel next door or down the road, but we are also competing internationally. If somebody has a bad experience in at Travelers for whatever reason, and they just say like Jamaica is terrible and they're never coming back. Like that's not only like us feeling that, Jamaica feels that. So it's important that as a product, as we offer our product as Jamaica, that we offer the best we possibly can, and we continue to offer and be a top destination in the Caribbean for sure, but a top destination in the world. And people don't have to come to Jamaica. They don't have to come to Negril. They don't have to spend their money with us. Especially if they're going to other places and having a better experience for whatever reason. That better experience could be I don't have to drive 2 hours to get to my hotel. That better experience is that they only have, this is not the case, they only have 2-star hotels. They don't have 5-star hotels. So they're not going to come here. If we look at Tulum, we talked about this. Jay Fitz brought up Tulum a little while ago. And I mentioned this before. Tulum is opening an international airport. It meant like so many people have compared Negril to Tulum and how it's laid out and how the beach and the road. And I understand since I've finally been there, I understand why people say that. And I did a whole podcast, live stream. You can look it up. I think last month on should Negril be the next Tulum? And my conclusion is like, no, we want to be Negril. We want to do our own thing. We want to learn from the mistakes that Tulum has made, and we want to make Negril better. No shade to Tulum at all, but they've done their thing and they continue to do their thing. They continue to be a top destination of choice globally, especially in the Caribbean region. And so when I see and like that's one of the first things that the taxi driver told me when I got to Tulum is that their airport will be opening next year, like January. So they're going to have an international airport that's open where I think they're starting with flights directly from Atlanta. And the importance and the context in which I'm bringing this up is like right now, like I mentioned earlier, you gotta think when you're either going to the airport or coming back from the airport here in Negril, it's going to take you 2 hours to get there. We're right on line with how Tulum is right now. You have to fly to Cancun International Airport, and then you have to drive 2 hours to get to Tulum. In short order, that will no longer be necessary for you to do. There are people out there who will not come to Negril because of the drive. There are people out there who will not go to Tulum because of the drive. There's a market of short-term stays that we in Negril are not tapping into, and we cannot tap into. If you're only coming to Jamaica for 3 or 4 days, the likelihood of you taking a minimum of 4 hours to and from out of your stay, plus you got the flight, you got to get through customs, yada, yada, yada. The likelihood of you coming to Negril is probably going to be diminished unless you're really set on that. Maybe Negril, like no matter if you're coming here for 2 days, you're coming here. No matter what. So there's a market that we are not getting and we're not tapping into. There's a market now that Tulum is going to tap into. Maybe now people are going to start going to Tulum more frequently because now you also the ride, mind you, the cost of transportation from from Cancun to Tulum is $200. That's $200 that you have to pay to get from the airport. So in total, that's $400 that you have to pay. We got a little bit of a deal on the way back, but basically we negotiated. We got it for like I think 160, I want to say, or something like that. But basically, you're for like whatever your ticket is, then and, obviously if you may be traveling in a couple or in a group, it'll be a little less. But that vehicle is going to cost you $200. So it's like all these things to take into consideration. So my point in bringing that up is like we gotta understand that as a country and as essentially the number one industry of this country, we are competing internationally, and we have to do whatever we can to invest now so our product continues to be able to compete at the highest standards of the world. And that's the expectation. It's not like back in the day, and I always I always bring this example up of the experience of sitting at a restaurant here in Negril, and maybe this would apply for anywhere in Jamaica. And that is, it's not like back in the day where island time to wait for your food was accepted. And this is like in my Jamaica hospitality lifetime where people would sit for an hour and wait for their food. They'd be annoyed, but there's not much that you could do because if you go to the next restaurant, it's going to be the same thing. And, I'll say Americans who used to come here, they understood that because they may, for example, repeaters, they came here, maybe they came here a lot and they understood this island time is going to take a time. And, but Americans were, it's hard to break Americans, especially because like the service is expected so quick, even back in the day. But my point is there was a general understanding this is Jamaica. It's going to take time for food to come out. Excuse me. That's no longer the case. If your average time, if you're a restaurant and your food is gonna take an hour to come out, like, people ain't gonna wait. Like, it's too like, things are too globalized. And if that were the case and we in Jamaica, we didn't improve that, like, not only keeping up the quality of the food that were coming out, but also the time in which it comes out, people are like, "Jamaica is too slow." Mexico is not like that. Tulum is not like that. And so my point is, like, that's no longer the case. The product has improved tremendously across the board. The product has improved tremendously across the board. And so this is also why all this money has been put into the Sanctions International Airport. Tulum's airport is beautiful. It's gorgeous. That's part of the experience of going to a country is what is the airport like? And did the Montego Bay Airport have to improve? No. Flights were coming in. Um, People were coming to Jamaica. Didn't have to, but they made, they did it to me. I think they did a great job there. So anyway, time is gone. I told you 2 hours was going to go by so quick. So let's get to some more comments here. And oh wow, they are really coming in. Okay, okay. Let's get into some. I'm gonna kind of try to speed through them a little bit to try and get as many as I can because I do got to get going soon. All right, let's see some people. Kenneth Gregory asked, "How far away is Negril from Lucy?" We're talking about, I'd say, 45 minutes. Corey MPA says, "Throp, what are the parish councils doing regarding water, local road, and police upgrades for the dramatic changes?" Great question. Great question. All of that needs to be improved. All that needs to be improved. I don't know. I don't know of any plans, specific plans, but all of that needs to be taken in consideration and needs to be beefed up. I mean, it just has to be. You can't have this massive development and influx. But I think to the point that I said earlier is like the private sector is the one are going to be the ones are is the ones that are pushing these things to happen. For real says infrastructure is a word learned from Michael Manley is one of his many speech attempts in 1971 trying to educate the people. What are you saying? It's because the lack of acting on visionary foresight. So I don't think I understand. If you could clear me up on that, your question or your statement there. For real, I comprehend there. Sharon Williams says, "What about a ferry from Montego Bay to Negril?" There was actually a company years ago, I mean, probably close to 10 years ago, that said they were going to actually be doing that. I'm not sure. It seems to make sense to me. I always think back to I've been to Greece a few times, and the ferries is a big part of their way of living, going to all those islands, and things are fast, 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 fast. So it seems like a feasible idea to me. I don't know why it hasn't been done. Justin says high-speed train from Montego Bay to Negril. I think that's also a great idea. That's the other thing that Tulum has. They have a train that goes from Cancun to Tulum. I don't know when that's opening, but I heard they're doing the same thing. Exactly what you're saying, Justin. Sweet Feather says think that the idea that bringing in corporations is the only way to develop, and the development is this singular concept of that does not consider the environment. No, like I said, like I said, I think we definitely need to consider the environment. I think that's very important. Fitz says there should be a toll road from Montego Bay to Negril with various exits along the way. The tolls would pay for the cost. Absolutely, I think that's the way. Like it has to be. I will proudly pay for that no matter what, and especially like if you're in like in transportation in Judah, like yeah, included in your price. I think a patron will gladly pay a few extra dollars, like a passenger, I should say, would gladly pay a few extra dollars to perhaps get to Negril in, can we say 45 minutes instead of 2 hours? People will pay for that, no question. Green Globe says, being an aerodrome is fine. Public transportation won't help. How to say no to development? You don't. You do it to the pace that is justifiable for the community. Good point. Hard to say. Public transportation won't help. I think to me, it does make sense if you had hundreds, maybe thousands of people who, and a taxi is probably going to kill me for this, but who don't need taxis, right? And if you can get people to take buses instead of I'm talking about like city buses, MTA buses instead of taking taxis, that's less road traffic. And to me, Justin brought up the train. We have a train that comes from Montego Bay to Jamaica, it's Montego Bay to Negril. That's less cars on the road. That's huge. So to me, public transportation would work. Do we have the money, or can we source the money to do a train system from Montego Bay to Negril? I think that will be amazing. I think that would be amazing. Maybe it'll happen. Maybe it'll happen in our lifetimes. Who knows? Who knows? Tisha says, I'm thinking, where would they build the highway from Montego Bay to Negril without cutting through the land that is privately owned? Would the government of Jamaica compensate these landowners or just take it? I hope they wouldn't take it, but I think it's like through the mountains they would have to do that. But I would assume they would pay them. That would be my assumption. I don't know. Yvonne says, public transportation is definitely a must and to have growth. Agreed. Green Globe says, yes, but won't help locals who are invested in buying more cars. Perhaps, but I also think just like how can we get more people off the roads? Like that's like the number one thing. Like that's to me, that's gonna lighten the traffic. That's what the airport does. That's what a train system will do. That's what public transportation will do. But the gem needs to stay ours. Don't polish our gems for the benefit of others. I agree. I think that's. I don't know if you were there in the beginning. Green Globe is what I was saying, and this is actually the point in this whole live stream that we're doing today. Is hopefully encouraging people in the diaspora, even Jamaicans maybe listening from other parts of Jamaica, like come and invest in the grill and do it now. I mean, and like that's the biggest takeaway that I had in that airport meeting is just like, my goodness, like you got to invest in the grill now. Like this stuff is coming because in that meeting we also talked about there were also alluded to other developments that are happening that other people were talking about, and I was like, "Man, you." Oof. I was like, "I gotta get to y'all as soon as possible to tell you what's happening and what's popping," and so like that was like the main takeaway is like, "Man, we gotta invest in the grill now." All right, let's see if we could speed through a few more. Got a couple people having conversations. Sweet Feather says island life can be confident, but developing it like a city or urban place takes away from its own flavor. Yep, I don't think we want that. I would say we don't want to turn the grill into a city. I don't think anybody is advocating for that in any. At least I haven't heard that. That's not what I'm advocating for as well either. Leone says there has to be a balance between development, environmental protection, preservation of the natural environment, green jobs slash economy, and having families keep their land and legacy. Well said. Well said. Mosaic travel and tours. I'm here for the laundromat drop. Absolutely agree. And like I had this business plan that I started with the laundromat because I thought of this like years ago. It's all logistics. That's all a laundromat is, and it's all logistics. You also have to take care of water, and you also have to take care of electricity. Like you got to have that built into your plan. However, you're going to do your capital raise, you gotta tighten your belt and have your solar, maybe even have batteries, and then you have to have a water harvesting system. That to me, if you want a solid business or laundry business, like you do that. You solve for those first, and then everything else is logistics. Zamali Rashid says, "Hey, Throp Negril is on the move. Great place for land if you want to be self-sufficient, farm, etc." And Zabali Retreats, they would know. They have a farm to table program. I always talk about them. Thank you for hopping on, Mark. Appreciate you. Great place, a little bit outside of Negril. And they do farm to table and they cook your food in front of you. You go to the farm, you visit, you see where your food is coming from, how it's prepared. It's a really, really amazing experience. So if like look up Zimbali retreats, you won't regret it. And if you come to Negril this winter, please check them out. All right, let's see. Few more comments here. Green Globe says Negril has a lot of outskirt housing. The major problem is that the percentage of people willing to work in an environments that are commercial is low, which is why you have more domestic migration for work. Petrona says, Throp, do you want Negril to become a crowded, populated concrete city like New York and other metropolis? Remember, what makes Negril a magnet for tourists is the beautiful scenery, lush green, natural beauty. Absolutely not. No, I want to be clear on that. No, 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 no. And if you talk to, I mean, and there's, if you talk to like any OG Negrilian, let's call them that, property owner, people, we talk about like I'm not going to name names, but talk to people who've been here for a while. Yeah, we want to keep Negril low density. 100%. We fought so hard to keep the the what do you call them? The building ordinance to a level where you couldn't go so high. We don't want to be in Miami. We don't want that at all. Royalton, no disrespect to Royalton, but we fought so hard for Royalton, which is on the northern part of Negril, not to be able to go 4 floors because we thought it was going to be a monstrosity. It was 4 floors. It happened. We tried. Now you got a situation where, which is weird, but this also speaks to why Negril needs to be its own singular municipality instead of spanning across 2 parishes. And in the parish of Hanover, you can go, I don't know how many floors, but you can go a lot higher than you can go in the parish of Westmoreland in Negril, where you can only go uh, 4 floors on the beach side, 2 floors on the morass side. And I think there needs to be parity in that. There has to be parity in that. A precedent has already been set. You can go however many floors in Hanover, depends on the density. And you're in the same town, but you can't go as high. That makes from a landowner perspective, that makes my property less valuable. I can't have that. It's not fair. It's not fair. There should be parity across the board. But to answer your question, Petrona, no, we don't want Negril turning into a city. We don't want that at all. We don't want that at all, and that's not what we're advocating for here. We are advocating for is a modern, purposefully developed community that benefits the residents of Negril and the future residents of Negril. Sweet Feather says Negril is an island. Development on an island is not to be urban. It is what the nature is creator made, and that is what makes it a gem. Donna Bryce says, we have to realize that many of us that want Negril to stay the same um, are just visiting. It has to modernize in some ways for the residents. It just needs to be very carefully done. Agreed. 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 And there are some people who literally just want Negril to stay the same for the sake of Negril staying the same. I could tell you somebody who's been here for a long time. My family's been here for a long time. And the people who born and raised, grown here. I mean, I'm not speaking for everybody, but Negril wants the people of Negril want to see Negril be better. They want to see Negril elevated. They want to see Negril modernized. I mean, that's just a fact. That's just a fact. Ask anybody, any small business owner, anybody who's been doing business here for a while. We want the amenities of a modern town. We want our roads to be paved. We want lights up and down the corridor, on the running walking path, on the streets. West End, we want a sidewalk. We want a park for the kids to go to. We want good schools for our kids to go to. We want a high school in Negril. All that takes money. All of that takes revenue. If Negril stays the same, all of that is not going to be possible. If Negril stays the same, what are we really setting up the next generation for who live here? If Negril stays the same, are we going to be able to attract young people to come from Kingston, to come from Montego Bay, to raise their children, to raise their families here? No. I would say, like I've said this before, like that's almost where I stop short of saying, hey, come to Negril. Negril is, I mean, unfortunately, we're not at the point where it's just like, this is the best place in Jamaica to come raise your children and raise your family. It's not the worst either. Far from it. Far from it. But I'd love to see, great. We have Manning's High School, which is not in Negril, but it's in Sav, one of the best high schools in Jamaica, but it's not in Negril. So these are the things that I think about. These are things that I think about with the next generation and the kids coming up. And my push as much as I possibly can for education as much as possible. Um, let me keep going here. Green Globe says, not to be rude, but I think you're very far removed from the culture and the history and truth about Negril. You should sit down with your dad and really find out the essence. Um, sure, but I think I am not far removed at all, and I really feel like I understand it from probably better than most, and I'm not gonna try to make my case here for that. Green Globe says, "You sell sex, spirituality, and essence. No, nowhere in the world that has that combo. That's the competition. They're competing, but why? What's the why?" Not sure what your question is there exactly, and where you're going with that. Sweet Feather says, shaking my head, it's an island, not a city, and tourism should not be the only bread and butter when Jamaica supplies the world. Jamaicans will always be owned that way. I mean, say what you will about tourism, but numbers don't lie. Numbers don't lie. Tourism, you could say it shouldn't be this and shouldn't be that, but it is that. It is that, and we can't take it for granted. Donna Bryce says to have just continually taken off and landing could disturb the laid back, peaceful ambience that many love. I think the bypass road to Negril is a better scenario. Again, I think we need both. And maybe that area that we looked at earlier is not the best place and location for the jets to go and for the airport to go. And so I should have mentioned this earlier. They were also, I think I did, but I didn't really go deep into it, but they're also considering other locations to put the airport that is away from the beach, because I also think, like, yes, that I don't think that would be fair for those hotels who have been there, especially couples, Royalton, I'd even say sandals, like they're all like in that area, and it could be very disturbing for their guests, and even the residents, as a matter of fact. All right, let's hear from people I haven't heard from. JFit says the price of homes are predicated in large part by the cost of the land. As the land continues to rise in the grill, it will not be profitable to build modest homes. It's basic finance slash economics. Absolutely. Again, a big part of the reason why I'm advocating really highly consider investing in the grill now, because if you went to Thropex, we talked about the history of specific parcels of land and also accommodations that exist and how they have just skyrocketed in the last few years. And it seems it's going to continue on that trajectory. And keep in mind, this is without an airport, without a bypass road, without the thousands of rooms coming to Green Island just north of Negril. Corey MPA says, Throp, you missed my question earlier, but are there any infrastructure investments happening in the town, widening the roads, water pipes, police, fire, etc.? No, not that I know of. Not that I am aware of right now, currently. Good question. Andrew Blake says, capital of casual to capital of congestion. We shall see. Infrastructure needs attention first. Agreed. Can't argue with you on that. I'm with you on that. We need to push that forward and make that part of the conversation as much as possible. Charles James says Jamaicans living abroad are just talkers, not doers. Those are running off their mouth can buy property. Why bad talk foreigners who do what they won't do? I will say I can't. I mean, I don't agree with that because most of the people who came to Thropex were Jamaicans from abroad. Most of the people, and they are. And shout out to all of you guys who came to Thropex and are making your own personal moves to invest in Jamaica and tourist and excuse me, and the grill. So I hope Jamaican. I not hope. I know Jamaicans abroad are seeing the light. It's just like how can we reach more people, And if they're if to your point, Charles, if you know of somebody a Jamaican who's like, say, I'll never invest in Jamaica, I'll never invest in the grill because of the crime or because of this or because of whatever have you, send them this video, send them this live stream. Send them other videos and live streams that I've done. You don't have to hear it from me. You can hear it from people I've had on my podcast. I think there's a great opportunity here. Shimon says tourists are leaving crowded cities to destination that's quiet and laid back. With changes coming to Negril, they will go to other small islands where there's few crime. Crime will increase in Negril. I mean, I feel like that's hard to say. I feel like that's that's a very very hard thing for me to agree with. I mean, why would you say crime is going to increase in Negril? Uh, somebody just I know or somebody earlier in the chat sent an article. I said there was an article. I saw it that Jamaica was rated as one of the safest countries in the world for tourists, and it is. Crime against tourists is less than 1% here in Jamaica. As much as you read these headlines and everything, and you see about crime, um, it's one of the safest places in the world for tourists to come to. Do I think crime is going to increase in the grill? Like, no, I don't. I don't think that. I think Negril is going to continue to be one of the most sought after destinations in the world for tourists, and I also think for investment. And I just hope you all out there start to see and consider this as a viable place to invest. Invest. I won't go into why Negril is going to do what Negril does. That's for another stream. But Negril, I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's very very difficult for me to see Negril turning into a city because the people of Negril don't want it to turn into a city. Sheree says, I love that you share these things. Thank you. I've shared some key things with people who have the opportunity to invest, and hopefully they would jump on the opportunities. And these are Jamaican people because it does make a difference. Even though many investors are good, we are different though. Shayna says, Throp, would you be a willing investor if one of or a few Throppers consider the laundromat? Absolutely. I already started the business plan. I'm down. I'm 100% down. Let's see. Let's see. Eva says, Throp, make the case as for why somebody should invest in a grill as opposed to other 13 parishes. I mean, I thought I made the case pretty clear in terms of what's coming here. I've been doing that for the last 2 hours. I thought I was at least. But I got to start wrapping up here. I am over by 5 minutes already. I'm just trying to see if I got any other people who I missed. All right, I gotta wrap up here. Okay. Yeah, we're over. We've gone 2 hours and 20 minutes. I said we're gonna go 2 hours. I want to keep going, but I gotta go. I want to keep going. And this is a continued conversation. This is not something that is going to end here. This is the discussion that we're going to continue to have as a Thrive community. And like I said, anybody who that has questions or wants maybe a different perspective on investing in Jamaica and investing in the grill, send them this video, send them this live stream. If you haven't already, hit that like button. It definitely helps. And if you're not subscribed, why? Crazy. Subscribe to the channel. But like I said, this is something we're going to continue to do, continue to talk about because there's just so many things happening and so many exciting things happening. And I want to get guests on to speak about these things and to um, continue to inform you all and just bring to light as much information, on the ground information that I'm having here. And I speak to just so many people here in Negril as well, like on a regular basis, and just like getting their perspective. And these are not, and it's like to me, it's like important with the development of Negril and the direction that it's moving in. It's like we just can't think about ourselves and our own perspectives, and we can't think about why we want or don't want something to happen because of you singular person or your small group of friends. Like we have to think about the wider community. We have to think about wider generations, those before us and those coming up behind us. And I think if more of us maintain this mentality, I think we can develop a product that benefit all. And like I said, at the center of it should be the average Jamaican and should be the average residents of Negril as feeling this. It may be driven from one entity or one person or one company or a group, but nonetheless, there should be a massive. Everyone should feel like in terms of the positivity and forward movement, everybody should feel it collectively. And again, not one person thinking about themselves. So exciting times all around, I believe. Exciting times coming up. And again, as things happen and as things progress, I will do my best to keep you all informed and bring different perspectives to the forum. Thank you all for joining us, joining me on this Sunday live stream. We will be back again next Sunday, and we will do it again. And always love hanging out with you and really appreciate you spending your Sunday afternoon, evening with me. Everybody have a great week, and I will see you again on Sunday. Peace.